Hello friends, we'll be discussing the concept of goods and service tax, which is also known as GST. As we know that after VAT, SENVAT, which was completely abolished few years ago, we have got into place the new concept of goods and service tax, which is also known as GST, being the short form here. With all these details mentioned, let us understand what exactly GST means. GST basically speaks about all the topics that we have to discuss when it comes to taxation economy of an Indian, or rather of Indian economy here. On 3rd August 2016, entire India was glued to Rajya Sabha when Rajya Sabha successfully passed the constitutional amendment bill for GST, that is the GST bill. Make sure you remember the date, 3rd of August 2016, 0308 16 is the date when GST bill was passed. This is something that you need to understand. Again, which eventually paved the way for GST in India, as the government is likely to introduce GST soon in 2017, which was a speculation back then. It is important, or rather, it was important for us to understand GST in forms of economic perspective. This GST, the bill was passed on 30th of August, or rather 3rd of August here 2016, when GST was completely passed in the constitutional bill, and which was supposed to be get amended or rather implied in 2017. So it was necessary how to understand, or rather what are the basic things that you need to understand when it comes to economic perspective of GST. What are the economic perspective of GST? What exactly will GST be? How exactly will it affect the economic reforms here, and what are the things that we need to look into? Now, the next part of GST. First, we'll speak about the introduction of it. GST is an abbreviation for goods and service tax, shortly known as GST here. GST is also known as a value added tax in few countries. Like earlier we had value added tax, we had VAT earlier, that is VAT. So a replacement for that in other countries was also known as GST here. GST or VAT is a consumption based tax wherein the basic principle is to tax the value addition at each business stage. Now let us understand the business stage in the first place. For example, if you have to discuss more about all these business stages or all these things, we can also speak about this. So if we are a manufacturer dealer, so basically manufacturer, then retailer, and then consumer here. Okay, these are the three stages that we can broadly speak about. Now why I'm taking all these three stages is because you will know how exactly transparent things will be. So manufacturer produces certain goods, these are then sold out to retailer. Now between this thing, there is a price that manufacturer charges to the retailer, there is a tax that is added to that. Retailer then sends it to consumer, and consumer is the end user of these specific goods. So there is again certain tax that is added, but you cannot add the tax, or rather you cannot add the tax, or you cannot basically charge the tax on the whole value itself, because that will be double tax that will be done. For example, if the cost of the goods is 10 rupees, okay, at level A, if it has been charged already, okay, you cannot charge again on level 2 on same 10 rupees. Whatever additional amount of tax has been there, or rather whatever additional amount of tax has been mentioned, for example, if 10 rupees and 1 rupees is the tax, okay, this tax will be charged in the next level, that is only 1 rupees will be charged as a part of GST. Whatever tax has to be charged, it will be charged only on this additional value, because 10 rupees has been already taxed and you don't have to look into it. Now, to achieve this, tax paid on purchase is allowed as a set-off or credit against liability or output income. Now, to achieve certain billables, or rather to achieve certain stability, normality in all of these things, whatever tax is paid on purchases, or rather whatever tax I pay on purchases, can be used as a set-off or a credit if I'm selling it to someone else. Let's take an example. Okay, so if A is a purchaser here, he has already paid tax of rupees 1. Okay, now Now, when he's selling it to B, he has to pay another tax of rupees 2 here. But he need not pay a tax of rupees 2. Why basically he need not pay is because he'll pay a tax only of 1. He has already paid 1 rupees tax here, and 2 rupees is the liability that is coming up. So 2 minus 1, that is basically 1 rupees is the charge of tax that he will be paid. Why is because the earlier tax he has also paid, or rather whatever earlier tax he has paid here, he'll put it as a set off, he'll put it as a liability set off completely here. That's how transparent it is. Now, the next part refers to GST is levied on all transactions of goods and services. Whatever goods you buy, whatever services you provide, GST is charged on it. Thus, in principle, GST should not differentiate between the goods and services. Internationally, GST was first introduced in France, and now more than 150 countries have introduced GST. In abroad, if we speak about, GST was first introduced in the country France, and now currently in the situation, more than 150 countries have introduced this concept of GST in their economy here. Hence, there is no differentiation between the goods and the services. It is charged on all goods, all services. Basically, there is no such exemption, or there is no such bifurcation, or rather we cannot call that this is only goods, this is only services. There is no such bifurcation as of now. For further discussions, we have most of the countries, depending on their own socio-economic formation, have introduced national level GST or dual GST. Now, every countries, we have around 150 countries who have introduced the concept of GST, but everyone have modified the concept of GST according to their own economy, because not every country will have, or rather all the countries don't have one single economy which is similar. Every country has different kind of economies, as hence because of that there were certain modifications that were brought into the concept of GST according to every Indian, or rather every economy present there. Hence, GST is different from current tax structure in many ways. Currently, taxes treat goods and services differently. As per the VAT and SENVAT things, it used to treat the goods and services differently, but GST doesn't do that part. Now, the next part refers to goods attract excise at a manufacturing level and VAT at the time of sale. Basically, goods earlier used to attract the possibility of, or rather the excise duty at that time when it came to manufacturing level, and VAT or other value added taxes when it was supposed to be sold out. So basically, if we have to speak about goods at the manufacturing stage, it used to take care of excise duty. This was supposed to be paid, and when these goods are supposed to be sold out, at that time VAT was supposed to be paid. So these are the things that were supposed to be taken into consideration. In contrast, services attract only one levy, that is service tax on provision of taxable services. Now, this is goods and this is services. Now, services used to attract only one kind of tax, that is, one tax was supposed to be paid. Just like in goods, where two kinds of taxes were supposed to be paid, excise duty and VAT. In services, there was just one tax, which is service tax, basically. But after the increment, or rather after the initiation of GST, goods and services were considered to be one part together, and hence one tax was mentioned. Now, the structure in India, or rather India is proposing to implement dual GST. That is, in dual GST regime, all the transactions of goods and services were made, or rather made for consideration, would attract two levies. The first one is CGST, central GST, and the state GST. So basically there are two kind of GSTs that will be taken into consideration here. The first one would be the CGST, that is central government, or other central goods service taxes, and the next one would be state GST, that is SGST, which is state government, or other state goods and service taxes. This is how exactly the state goods and service taxes and central goods and service taxes were bifurcated. Now, what exactly this means is something that we're going to learn. Taxes that will be subsumed in GST, that will be included in GST. Now, GST would be levied on all transactions of goods and services made for a consideration. Whatever goods and services that you sell out and you get money out of them, GST will be levied on it. This new levy would replace almost all the indirect taxes. So basically, all the indirect taxes that we had earlier, that may be VAT, SENVAT, etc., all of these things will be removed out, and only one tax will be placed, that is GST here. In particularly, it would replace the following indirect taxes. Now, what exactly were the indirect taxes that will be replaced, or rather that were replaced, is something that we're going to learn about. At central level, basically, the first bifurcation that we'll be having as central excise duty, including additional duties of excise. This will be completely removed because of the initiation of GST. Service tax was removed. Additional consumer duty, or rather customs duty, known as countervailing duty, CVD, levied on import in lieu of excise duty, all these things were also removed here. Special addition duty of customs, SAD, that is CVD and SAD, was supposed to be removed, levied on imports of lieu of VAT. So basically, in terms of excise duty and in terms of VAT, so in terms of excise duty, we used to pay around CVD, and in terms of import duty, we used to pay around SAD. So basically, all these things, service tax, central VAT, everything was removed at central level basically. Now, the next part refers to at state level, what are the things that will be removed. The first one was VAT and sales tax was abolished. Second, entertainment tax, unless it is levied by the local bodies. So local bodies can levy it, but there has to be a justification to it. They cannot then charge GST there. So entertainment tax was removed here. Luxury tax, that is taxes on lottery, betting and gambling, was also charged, or rather removed, after the initiation of GST, because GST replaced it then. Entry tax not in lieu of octroi. So basically, entry tax was also replaced by GST, not in lieu of octroi here. State cesses and surcharges in so far as they relate to supply of goods and services. So any state cess or surcharge that was charged in supply of goods and services, that was also abolished because of all these activities here. Now, the next part speaks about, however, certain items, sectors would be outside the GST regime. There were certain items and sectors that were outside the purview of GST here. There was a burden of tax on tax. So basically, if there is a tax here, there was another tax on this tax. This tax on tax, the burden was still there on all these items in the pre-existing central excise duty of the government of India and sales tax system of the state government. So because of all these things, or rather wherever GST didn't cover all these items, on those items the burden of tax on tax, that is central tax and then state tax, was also there. Now what happened to them? The introduction of central VAT, that is CENVAT, has removed the cascading burden of tax on tax. Now, when we had VAT, we removed that thing and we got into the picture the problem, or rather the resolution of CENVAT, that is central VAT, central value added tax. This removed the burden of tax on tax here to the goods by extent of providing a mechanism of set off for tax paid. That means, as we discussed, that if 1 rupee has been already paid and the next tax comes for 2 rupees, you just have to pay 1 rupees again, because you already have paid 1 rupee of tax on manufacturing. So this can be used as a set off here. That means something that can be used as a credit, and only balance amount is supposed to be paid as tax. Hence, up to the stage of production, and has been improvement over the pre-existing central excise duty. So this completely replaced the central excise duty, and what was taken into consideration here. Now the next part refers to, similarly, the introduction of VAT in the states has removed the cascading effect by giving set off for the taxes paid on output as well as taxes paid on previous purchases, and again has been an improvement over the previous sales tax regime. So because of this introduction of VAT here, the tax on tax cascading effect was completely removed, and this helped all the countries, or rather Indian economy, in making sure that there is no addition of tax that is done on the already taxed amounts, or all the already taxed goods and services basically. The next part refers to, but both CENVAT and the state VAT has certain incompleteness. Even though CENVAT and state VAT were brought into the picture, they had certain loopholes, they had certain incompleteness which was supposed to be sorted. The incompleteness of CENVAT is that it is not yet closed, or rather it has yet not been extended to the include chains of value addition and distributive trade below the stage of production. So whatever stages of production we have to take into consideration, all these things, CENVAT etc., was not taken into consideration concentration at all. Now, the next part refers to it has also not included several central taxes such as additional excise duty, additional customs duty, surcharge, etc. in the overall framework of SENVAT. So, whatever things we saw at central level that were abolished, that were not taken into the consideration of SENVAT here, and thus kept the benefit of comprehensive input tax and service tax set off out of the reach of manufacturers and dealers. And because of these, whatever set off, whatever additional set off that could have been achieved because of all these things was kept out of the reach of manufacturers and retailers here. The next part refers to basic things, or rather, similarly, in the present state level VAT scheme, SENVAT load on the goods has not been removed, and cascading effect of that part of tax burden has remained unrelieved. So basically, at state level, these SENVAT cascading effects were still there, and it still used to hamper the production purposes, or rather, production and manufacturing expenses here. Now, moreover, there are several taxes in the state, such as the luxury tax, entertainment tax, etc., which have still not been subsumed in the VAT. There are still such taxes which have still not been subsumed in the tax, and this is as per the previous data here. Now, the introduction of GST will not only include comprehensively more indirect central taxes and integrated goods and services for set off of relief, but also capture certain value additions in the distributive trade. Now, the introduction of GST was not only to make sure that the comprehensive indirect taxes were curbed down completely, but it was also to add certain value to the distributive taxes here that we have in place. Now, further, there has also been any integration, or rather, there has not been any integration of VAT on goods with service tax at the state level, with removal of cascading effect of service tax. In addition, although the burden of central sales tax (CST) or the interstate movement of goods has been lessened with reduction of CST from 4% to 2%. So, SENVAT, which was earlier 4%, was now brought down to 2%. This has burden, or rather, this burden has not been fully phased out. But despite getting this thing into the place, the burden hasn't been phased out here. With the introduction of GST at state level, the additional burden of SENVAT and service tax would be comprehensively removed. Now, after the introduction of GST, the additional burden at state level which was there, that means the burden of SENVAT and service tax would be completely removed because of this, and continuous chain of self of or other set off from original producers point and view of services provided to the retailers level would be established, which would eliminate the burden of all cascading effects, including the burden of SENVAT and service tax. This is the essence of GST. So basically, the introduction of GST in simple sense removed the SENVAT concept, and it helped in building a better tax structure for India. Also, major central and state taxes will get subsumed into the GST. So whatever major central and state taxes were available in the country, that would get incorporated into the GST itself, which will reduce the multiplicity of taxes. That means you won't, or rather you won't have one single good that will be charged with different number of taxes. That will be just one tax that will be charged here, and thus bring down the compliance cost. With GST, the burden of CST will be phased out. Again, the GST is not simply VAT plus service tax, but a major improvement over the previous system of VAT and disjointed service taxes. So, whatever VAT and disjointed service taxes we had earlier, this is a better version of it. It is not just a replacement of it, but it is a better version here. GST is a tax on goods and services with comprehensive and continuous chain of set-offs benefit from the producer's point and service provider point up to the retailer's level. So, whatever tax benefit, or rather, whatever set-off and everything that we used to get on the central sales tax or state sales tax, etc., whichever it is, everything effect is still there, but it is just one simple tax which is inclusive of comprehensive of producer's point of view until the retailer's point of view, which includes producers and manufacturers both. Now, it is essentially a tax only on value addition at each stage, and a supplier at each stage is permitted to set off through a tax credit mechanism. Thus, the GST paid on the purchase of goods and services as available for a set off on GST to be paid on the supply of goods and services. So that means whatever purchase of goods and services is done, whatever tax is paid on that, this tax can be used as a set off to minimize the sales tax. So basically on selling, so whatever selling of goods and services is done, so if you're purchasing raw material, okay, and then you're converting them into finished goods, okay, finished goods are then sold out, so whatever tax you have to pay on this finished goods here, if supposedly the tax is paid here as 100 rupees, or rather the liability is coming as 100 rupees, in purchasing raw material you have already paid 50 rupees, so here you are not supposed to pay 100 again, you're just supposed to pay the difference between them, which is again 50 rupees itself. So hence the reduction on the tax, or rather the burden of tax, was completely shifted or balanced, we can say. So the final consumer here will thus bear only GST charged by the last dealer in the supply chain, with set of benefits at all stages. So basically the consumer who is going to consume all these goods will be paying tax only on the set-offs that have been charged. So the set-offs that has been taken into consideration by the final dealer itself, only that much of charge is supposed to be paid by the consumer, and not the whole effect from purchaser or manufacturer of the whole goods. So the earlier tax regime what we had, it used to make the consumer pay all the taxes for which manufacturer used to produce the goods and everything, so that long chain has been cut down completely, and only the last dealer who has paid the taxes, only that much of tax is supposed to be paid, or rather that much of sales tax, service tax, whatever set off is there, that has to be paid by the consumer here. So this is the whole concept of GST that has to be taken into consideration. That's it for the video. Thank you.